I want to ask lastly just how religion plays a role. I know you mentioned this guy talked to God, shout out to him, but like something like an arranged marriage in Hinduism, or like Christian Islam fundamentalism, like Islam has different rules on marriage. How does that play in as it intersects with American culture?
Yeah, I mean, it comes in a lot. The divorce rate among cultures where there's a lot of arranged marriage is actually quite low, because I think that can be attributed to the fact that people enter into marriage with a different expectation. Like in a lot of cultures where, particularly Muslim cultures, I've had some experience with, where individuals marry and there's an arranged marriage that's arranged by the parents. It's really done with this sense that marriage is about a family, a partnership, building something together. It's not this overly romanticized. The idea is that we will grow to love each other. And love, love is a feeling, but love is a verb too. Like to love someone is to act with love towards that person. So like there are plenty of examples of people who were in arranged marriages or marriages that they weren't quite sure, and then they grew to, through shared experience and common, like loving children together, they grew to say, this is how it is. So I think that religion and people's religious backgrounds plays a huge role in how they approach the world. And how we approach the world obviously informs how we do our marriage. I mean, I will say, as someone who was raised very strict Catholic, my Catholicism and my sort of understanding of the rigidity of the Mass and when you stand and when you sit and how you address it, it's very much was good practice for the courtroom. Because courtroom's very much the same. Like there's people you treat a different way. There's someone who's in charge. There's, there's like a hierarchy, and you humble yourself before that hierarchy, and you're not like bowing, and genuflecting is not something that's a source of shame. It's a source of pride. It's like I'm strong enough to humble myself in front of someone. So I think that religion at its best infuses every aspect of a person's life. And so I've seen some couples that are very religious. What is hard to watch, and I've done a lot of divorces where people have the same religious faith, and then one of them loses that faith. And it creates a schism in the relationship that is very hard to fix. Because religion has certain first principles from which people are working, and so if you lose those foundational first principles, they tether so many other things in the marriage, like that it gets really, really tricky,
Yeah. Man, that's kind of sad to lose your partner and your faith.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, but sometimes, again, to throw the counterpoint, I've done a lot of divorces, for example, in the Hasidic community, in the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. And that is a community, I don't think I'm giving anything away when I say that if you could choose between being a man in that community or a woman in that community, you're better off being a man. Like women aren't allowed to drive, women aren't allowed, there's a lot of rules imposed on women that are challenging. It's a fairly, admittedly patriarchal society culture, enclave. And so sometimes those women will say I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be in this game anymore. I want to step out of this. And that's very challenging. It's very, very challenging because it is very, very difficult to reconcile an ultra orthodox religious life and someone who goes fully in the other. Because people moderation doesn't play into it. People treat dandruff with decapitation. There becomes people go from I'm ultra religious to fuck that. I'm as far from religious as you can be. You ever want to meet somebody who's a virulent atheist? Find someone who was raised super religious. It's like people go in that opposite direction. And it's challenging, but it also sometimes is we all change as time moves on. And that's the challenge, I think, is being honest with yourself about what's changed and then being able to be honest with your partner. I will tell you, doing what I do for a living, one of the things I've learned is the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves. And most of the time when we lie to our partner, we're lying to ourselves and then we're lying to our partner. And so that's why I'm always a fan of the honest conversation. Just be honest, be frank, be candid, just say the quiet part out loud. And I think that's why to some degree, and I'm not saying this to be, I'm not trying to, have your wives not be mad at me, although it would be good to have them not be mad at me or you. I think one of the things I've found about comics, I've represented a couple of comics, there is something really naked and honest about getting up in front of people and talking about your most vulnerable, embarrassing, dumb shit. It's also the funniest shit. It's the shit people can relate to. But you use that muscle all the time. So I imagine in relationship, you do the same thing, you know? And that's probably why, like, there are, like, I know a lot of comics that are incredibly happily married. I know some that never marry because of the lifestyle on the road and things like that, substance use issues, stuff like that. But I know a lot of comics that are very, very happily married because that same self-effacing insight and open, unashamed, like, calling out their own bullshit serves people pretty well in a relationship.